Okay guys, very exciting announcement. This intro was actually directed by J.J. Abrams, the writer and director of this movie. JJ, they can't see me, the lens flare. No, I'm serious, man. They can't even see me. Yes, the lens flare is noticeable. It's noticeable in all your movies, dude, didn't you know? Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Super Series Tuesday. For today, I will be covering the third film in the Mission Impossible franchise, again, simply titled Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible 3 was released in 2006 and was directed by J.J. Abrams and stars Tom Cruise, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Michelle Monaghan. This time around, it does a time jump from the second movie, and Ethan Hunt, or Tom Cruise, is now actually engaged to be married to a completely different girl than Thandie Newton in the second film. And this time around, he's like not really with the IMF anymore. He's just not a field agent anymore, right? He's just training people to be field agents. But he gets a call, he takes it upon himself to go on this mission because a woman that he trained, and the only one that he actually gave active duty approval to, has been kidnapped. So he springs back into action, and it sets off just a whole series of crazy events, and that is where our third movie takes place. To start, guys, right back at the top of the positive list, Tom Cruise again. It has been a 6-year time jump in these movies, and he kills it again. He's just a phenomenal action star, and luckily this is back to the Ethan Hunt from the first movie, not the second movie where he's just like kicking, karate chopping everybody around and flipping in slow motion and blowing up sunglasses and riding motorcycles on the side. It is the Ethan Hunt from the first one, which means he is smart, he thinks, he is the best at his job, he knows how to handle himself, he's just a slick guy, he knows what he's doing. That's the Ethan Hunt that I know and love. Next is the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yes, sadly he passed away in 2014, but he absolutely destroys this role, guys. He is amazing as the villain, by far the best villain in the whole series. He's a businessman, right? So you don't have any final like fight scene toe-to-toe with him and Tom Cruise or anything, because obviously he wouldn't really hold up, but he is a businessman. He is a black market dealer. He is so menacing. You believe every word that comes out of his mouth when he says, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna find your wife, I'm gonna find your girlfriend, I'm gonna make her bleed, make her scream. Like, everything that he says just makes your skin crawl. He is so good as this villain. He absolutely nails it, and you know, it makes me miss him even more every time I watch this because he is phenomenal in this role. And next is just the supporting cast as a whole, guys. Michelle Monaghan does a fantastic job. Ving Rhames comes back again. He's the only character besides Tom Cruise that, as far as I can remember, that follows up through the whole series. He does phenomenal in this job again. I love him as Luther. I think he is a great actor, and I think he's great as this character. Maggie Q is phenomenal in this. Billy Crudup, and just the rest of the supporting cast. I'm just gonna stand here and name everyone off, but everyone does a great job. There was not a single weak link in this movie that I can think of. Every time someone was on the screen, I believe that they were embodying this person. They weren't just playing a character, they weren't just reading lines. They did a great job, and I really enjoyed everybody in this movie. Next is just the fact that this movie has such good action. Yes, there is action in this movie. It is not insanely over the top like the second one, and it is not absolutely minimal like the first one. The action in this movie is great. There is a lot of hand-to-hand stuff, there is a lot of gunfights, and there is a lot of crazy over-the-top stuff. There's like a helicopter on helicopter fight, but it's like totally believable. At least in my mind, I really enjoyed it. I loved watching it. There's a lot of over-the-top action in this, but it's done in a believable way. And the effects, despite it being 2006, look as good as ever. The facelift on the Blu-ray was phenomenally done. Like, any of the explosions, if they weren't already practical, because I can tell there's a lot of really well done practical effects in this. Even the CGI looks spotless. It looks really well done. They nailed this part of the movie. And next, just a smaller positive, not really anything I have to get into too much, and that's just the love interest of the movie. The love interest is much better than Thandie Newton. You believe that he really does love this woman. He goes on multiple times about how much he loves her, why he loves her. He's living a completely separate life away from the IMF with this woman, and it is much more believable, and their relationship is much more believable than the last film, so good on them for cleaning that up. And the fact that it does a lot of world building in this movie too, believe it or not, because in the first one he's just kind of on the run on his own. The second one, it's almost pretty much the same thing. He's just kind of on the run on his own, but this one, it's a really team-oriented film. It shows the IMF as a whole. It shows the inner workings, not just kind of like the building. It shows inside, you know, it shows the directors, the leaders of certain divisions, it shows all the computers, all the logistics, things like that, and they do a really good job expanding this world and showing the IMF as a whole. And lastly is just the fact that this movie, I'm going to 100% credit this movie to setting this franchise on the right path. They just really did. They found that sweet spot right in between kind of like the first ones, you know, like spy thriller, and the second one's like over-the-top action. You believe this world, you believe in the IMF, you believe in all the action sequences, you believe in the motives, you believe in the characters, you believe that these characters are this people. I'm saying believe a lot, I know, but please understand why. It's because I truthfully do honestly believe in this world. I am completely enthralled by it because of this movie. It did something to me that the other movies did not. It brought me into its world, and it showed me everything, and it made me believe. But with any movies, there are its negatives, and the negatives coming at this one is just the fact that I felt like the last third of the movie, so like the whole kind of like final act of the movie, was really, really rushed. They spend the first like hour 20, hour 30 just kind of chugging along, doing their thing, and you're super invested. But then when it hits what you think should be like the climax and the grand finale, it's just kind of like done. And it only does it in the last like 20 minutes or so. It wraps it up so quick that you don't even really have time to process it. And just another one is the shaky cam. Like I said, it is a cleaner, slicker looking movie, and it is, even with the shaky cam, it is a much more visually appeasing movie overall. Like, it doesn't look like an early 2000s or a 90s movie, but it doesn't come with its negatives with the camera work, because I find that there's a lot of shaky cam in this movie, and the shaky cam doesn't always bother me in some instances, but I couldn't really tell what was going on, that it got that bad. That bothered me, but for the most part, it's done in an okay manner, you know, respectable manner, and I didn't mind it that much. Overall, guys, like I said, this movie really did set the Mission Impossible franchise on a whole new track, and the right track for sure. This movie is completely different, basically, from the first two, but every other movie that follows it has been the exact same, and they have just gotten the formula down packed, and it started with this movie. To summarize, like I said, the positives: Tom Cruise, again, phenomenal as always. Philip Seymour Hoffman, and possibly his best role, my favorite role. He's just so menacing, and he does a phenomenal job in this movie. The supporting cast overall is great, the action's great, the effects are great, the love interest is done much better this time around, and the fact that the world building I felt was necessary, rather than like, you know, a much more compact story. It just kind of expanded, and it showed this whole world to you, and it was in a very well done way. And the negatives, like I said, I feel like the last third of the movie, like the final act essentially, was really kind of rushed, and I kind of also feel like there was a little too much shaky cam at times, to the point where, like, if I can't tell what's going on, it does kind of really bother me. It didn't hit that point too much, but there were more than a few times where I was like, okay, come on, I would like to see what's going on here. Overall, guys, I really enjoy this movie. Trust me, even if you weren't a fan of the first two Mission Impossibles, definitely give this a try, and if you were a fan of them, then you're gonna like this one anyway. For all those reasons, guys, I'm going to give Mission Impossible 3 an 8 out of 10. So guys, if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know, do you think Mission Impossible 3 set the franchise on the right track? And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.